I remember this one time that I was working in the emergency room and I was working triage. And this guy comes in and he says, I got a vibrator stuck up my butt. And I was a little bit confused and I said, sorry, what did you say? And he says, I got a vibrator stuck up my butt. And it just wasn't computing in my brain what he was saying. So I asked him again, I said, I'm sorry, what did you say? And so now he's getting a little bit flustered and he says, I got a vibrator stuck up my butt. And I'm still not getting it. So he gets upset. So I turned to my administrative assistant who was at the side. And I just looked to see if she was understanding what he was saying. She looks at me wide-eyed like this. And then I get it. I'm like, oh no. Then it finally clicked and I took the guy to x-ray and sure enough, he had a vibrator stuck up his butt. So that was my first experience with that and I was shocked. And unfortunately for the guy, then he spent a lot of time in the ER with his butt up in the air with 2 ER doctors trying to remove the vibrator up his butt. So they were using a device and it was very slippery and it was very painful for the guy and it wasn't a pleasant experience at all for anybody. Moral of that story is careful with what you put up your butt. I'm not here to judge, but think of safety features if you're using a sex toy, something that's not just gonna go in and not be able to come out. And that said, if you're gonna stick things up your butt, just make sure that there are things that are designed to go up there. Your colon is very sensitive to puncture. A puncture in the colon can be life-threatening. There are these stories out there where people stick beers up their butt because they absorb the alcohol quicker. That's true. In fact, when chemicals are absorbed in the intestinal tract, they're absorbed directly into the bloodstream. When food and chemicals go down the upper GI tract, which is the mouth, the esophagus, and the stomach, well, it gets the opportunity to be digested, right? So that means that there's chemicals involved in processing the food, as well as other organs like your liver and your pancreas that are gonna be part of that process in detoxifying food and chemicals before they get into the bloodstream. Needless to say that it's pretty dangerous to bypass that detoxification process that the upper GI provides. But people do, because people will be people, right? But the craziest thing that I saw of somebody's butt here recently was not in the hospital, was actually on a show called My Strange Addiction, credit to TLC, and it was these two couples that were doing coffee enemas. So here's an excerpt.
My name is Trina, and I live in St. Petersburg, Florida.
That's perfect.
And I'm addicted to coffee enemas.
For the past 2 years, Trina hasn't been able to function without her daily coffee enemas. A procedure where liquid is injected into the colon to clean out the lower intestine. Her addiction is so intense, she does up to 4 every day.
I love the way coffee enemas make me feel. I feel like a sense of euphoria. I absolutely would fall apart without them.
My initial reaction was, my God, that's disgusting. But I tried it, and now I'm addicted to coffee enemas. From the first day I did them, I've pretty much been like, whatever's going on, I'm doing at least 2 of these a day. I don't care.
4 times a day, Mike and Trina fill a bucket with coffee. A hose attached to the bottom delivers the liquid to the lower intestine.
Once it's all prepped and at the right temperature, put the nozzle into your rectum, hold it up in the air.
As they raise the bucket, 32 ounces of coffee fills their colon.
You'll start to feel pressure growing in your lower intestine, and that's the freaky part. And just lay there and try to relax.
I will listen to music, catch up on TV shows, read, check my email, I'll tweet, I even play Sudoku.
the timer goes off, yeah, you want to make just a quick transition from floor to toilet seat as quickly as possible. It's going to come flying out of there like a torrent.
I do think it is just really kind of gross. Gross. I think it's gross.
At least for me, part of the pleasure of drinking coffee is not so much the caffeine and that it gives me a little bit of boost of energy. There's a ton of reasons that I mentioned before why coffee is good for you, but also it tastes really good. I drink about 3 cups a day, 3 to 4 cups a day. When I drink coffee, because there are days that I don't. These two folks spend 5 hours a day during their ritual coffee up the butt. 5 hours a day. There's a lot you can accomplish in 5 hours a day. And who am I to tell them how to live their life? But there's a lot that you could be doing in 5 hours. But it sounds like it doesn't just stop there. It sounds like they're very limited in what they can do because they're slaving over their addiction. So they don't go out so much. If they go out, they need to be back in time to do their enema. And she makes it sound good at first, right? Like, oh, you know, I get to read and catch up on my books and bullshit. Sitting there holding a can with a tube up your butt for 5 hours. That's insane. That's not normal. So then the TLC producers take them to the GI doctor. And if they would have consulted a nurse on the show, they would have told them, don't stop at the GI specialist. The next stop is gonna be the addictions counselor or the psychiatrist and the psychologist. So anyway, check out the show. It's on TLC. I love to enjoy my coffee the traditional way. Who am I to stand in the way of somebody's coffee enema? There's some crazier things that people put up their butts. So here's a list. This one done by Simon Robb from October 2016. So credit to Simon Robb. And the first on the list is a glass bottle. A farmer had to tell doctors at the University of Mississippi Medical Center that he had a bottle stuck up his butt. How did a bottle get up there? Well, according to him, he fell back and the bottle got up his butt because, yeah. An instant coffee jar, because you know we're not done with coffee yet. The Medical Journal of Australia published an x-ray of a 64-year-old man who had a dildo lodged in him for 6 months. I'm not buying that story. I don't think anybody can have that for 6 months. That would clearly lead to death. But another one that was crazy was from the American Journal of Forensic Science, where doctors found a rock-solid object just inside the anal sphincter. It was concrete. The man poured liquid concrete into his butt and then it solidified. Because people have ideas. Aubergine? I don't know if I'm even saying that right, but apparently it's a vegetable. How about a mobile phone? Yeah, a mobile phone. Now I've actually heard stories of mobile phones even before I became a nurse, because before I was a nurse, I was actually a corrections officer. And people use their butts for transporting a lot. And mobile phones is one of those things that make it into prisons pretty easily, and the way it's done is they stick it up their butts. That for me wasn't all that crazy, but there's a list. If you are gonna stick things up your butt, just be careful. Take into consideration what your butt is designed to do. And there's just better ways to get your caffeine. Okay, this is Coffee with a Nurse, and we'll talk to you next time.